It's recording. Okay. Hey, everybody. It's Johnny DriveBYE here. This is B. And we are going to look at Trinity Broadcasting Radio, or I don't even know if it's radio podcast or whatever the heck it is. But anyway, he's been around. I've seen him make a few videos on, he seems to be obsessed with atheists. So, well, here's some atheists being obsessed with him for now. Let's see what he's all got to say here. Okay, let's see. Now we get this started.
Well and good, and perhaps even morally commendable action to do with your dollars. So try that. If you don't want to go to Chick-fil-A anymore, find a restaurant that's not owned by some corporate conglomerate that's going to do who knows what with their money that you may or may not like. Go make a friend with someone who owns a local business,
beginning
a local restaurant in your town.
Yeah,
and invite them to your church if they don't have a church home already.
No, it's done. All right. There we go.
And now today's topic.
Ooh, reverb.
I've got a great new.
Hi, Jonathan Pritchett. And Braxton.
Look at the trees.
Already, you're already doing it. No, that you know what? It is a good argument. They're going to talk about look at the trees as a bad argument, is what I'm guessing, right?
Probably they're going to preface the statement with it.
Well, you know, I know that I just visited with my grandmother's sister, who's up in the old folks' home, does like a year ago.
Sure.
She was telling me that when she was a little girl, because my family, my mom's an atheist, my grandma's an atheist, my great grandma was an atheist.
Sure.
And but my grandma's sister was telling the story about how even her mother, she was sitting there talking to her mother when she went through a stage of like being sort of a believer, and asked, "Well, but you got to look at the trees." And you know, that's what, she's 72 years old, so that's already 60 years ago that this argument's been debunked, and that's before that even. And you guys are sitting there saying that it's like a good argument.
And in fairness, we've had huge scientific and technological advances since 60 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So it may have been a little easier to understand how they would arrive at thoughts like that.
Well, it fails.
Without answers.
It fails. The reason that the look at the trees arguments fails is because it can easily be explained also by random chance. It can.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be an intelligent creator.
No, and we show no proof of any of that.
No, it could be. It could be. Don't get me wrong. It could be. But
we haven't discovered anything that would lead us to believe that.
Not that I know of anyway.
Not as myself.
But according to you guys, you know what did. Yeah. Okay. let's see where we're going here.
Let's continue.
Please, evidence for design everywhere. This is
with me on it.
Yeah, this has Braxton Hunter. No other seminary president has a shirt this cool. So
That's right.
I've got and by the way, just so you know, this was my idea of this shirt.
It was. Well, for those who don't know.
You made like 30 shirts, and then I said, no, I'll buy one if you make this one.
Atheists all the time are saying that we basically don't, that look at the trees is not a credible response.
Yeah, I just said that.
Well, they say that because that's true.
Yeah, it's an unfalsifiable statement is what it is.
Yeah.
Or they denigrate any design argument as look at the trees, and it's like, no, actually looking at the trees as an evidence of design is a great place to start. So yeah, look at the trees. I'll be your meme. I don't care. So basically what we want to do today is for the past several weeks, really for the whole year, but for the past several weeks specifically, we've been layering things on. And I am what you would refer to as a classical apologist. And what that means is I like to show first that God exists, and then show that Jesus rose from the dead, and defend each piece of that case to the hilt. You know, I think those arguments are really.
So why haven't you done it yet?
Yeah, and if I hope and assume that we're going to receive his proof or evidence for those.
He was saying that he's just a minute here. Did I get it right that he said he'd like to show the evidence?
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, just so you know, this was my idea of this shirt.
It was. Well, for those who
you
don't know.
You made like 30 shirts, and then I said, no, I'll buy one if you make this one.
Atheists all the time are saying that we basically don't, that look at the trees is not a credible response, or they denigrate any design argument as look at the trees. And it's like, no, actually looking at the trees as an evidence of design is a great place to start. So yeah, look at the trees. I'll be your meme. I don't care. Yeah. So basically what we want to do today is for the past several weeks, really for the whole year, but for the past several weeks specifically, we've been layering things on. And I am what you would refer to as a classical apologist. And what that means is I like to show first that God exists and then show that Jesus rose from the dead and defend each piece of that case to the hilt.
Yeah, so I'm right. You haven't shown that yet. You haven't shown that God exists. You haven't shown that Jesus rose from the dead, and you haven't, whatever, to the hilt.
And
not even close.
For his first few words, they were layering the information. That sounds, it sounds like that it has, I don't know, honest, dishonest, kind of pretense, or
yeah, maybe. Huh?
I don't think we need to layer facts. We just present them as they are. We don't need to present them in a certain order to make them more believable or not.
No, they proclaim they're apologists right there. They're already they already got that excuse to lie about anything and to make their beliefs true.
True.
I want to get back to that on creating an intelligent design, or whatever you want to call it. That something intelligent created the universe or whatever.
Yeah.
First of all, to show that there is an intelligent designer. I mean, an artist. I can show you an artist. If you show me a painting, I can show you an artist that painted a painting and show you that is evidence that an artist painted a painting. You, however, cannot show me a creator of the universe, somebody that created the universe. You have to show the creator first before you can say that this was created. That is where you're doing it wrong. You see, it's backwards. First, you have to show a creator that can create something. Then you have evidence that there's a creator, and that's where you fall short. You fall way short. You haven't explained anything.
They've kind of inverted those two exercises. First having a creator, then we can assume or then we can find the fact that he would have created.
No, you and I, we work in construction. We can build something. I can show you right in your face that I can build something. I can show you that, and then I can show you evidence of a building and show you a building and say, I know how that's built. I can do that. I can even build that building for you. That is evidence of a creator, and that is period. That is why it's so different. There's nothing has been shown. You've never observed somebody creating a tree. You've never observed somebody creating a planet or a universe. No, you haven't. To do that, then you can say there's a creator. What would a universe without a creator look like? That's my question to you.
I'm good with that.
All right, let's go on.
I think those arguments are really strong. However, and I don't know how you classify yourself. Maybe
I like the term toolkit apologist.
Okay.
I'll whip out all the.
Yeah, you probably fit more into the kind that we're going to talk about today.
If that,
can include classical arguments. Yeah. So basically, what we're talking about are different methodologies within apologetics. We have a video on what is called.
No, apologetics should fall under anything. All apologetics really means it doesn't even have to do with the theist, but it's so you guys use apologetics so often, and what it is just trying to make claims that something is true and trying to convince people that it's true. That's what apologetics is. That's all it boils down to. And to do that, there's no rule book. It's just trying to convince people that it's the truth. And it doesn't leave lying out, does it?
It does not.
No. So there you have it. All right.
Cumulative Case Apologetics from last year. You can go check that out. But we want to go over some of that ground again today. But what we want to say about it is,
we're never going to get through this video in a week, are we? We've only. How far are we on here? We're 6 minutes in.
We've been at it a little while.
Basically, this is an approach where you use what's called abductive reasoning. And what abductive reasoning is, do you want to explain it or do you want me to?
I've been abducted.
Abductive reasoning is where instead of using like a deductive argument that you consider to be a slam dunk for something, in something like,
deductive over there,
the Kalam or the ontological argument or something like that. Instead, what you're doing is you're throwing out a bunch of pieces of data that cumulatively seem to indicate a particular position. It's often thought of, abductive reasoning is often thought of as inference to the best explanation. So what's the best explanation for this data? So an example that I didn't come up with, I don't know where I got it, but it's a good one, is if I went home today and in my yard there was a football. And I'm trying to figure out, how did this football get here? I've got several options on the table. One option.
Okay, first of all, we're not comparing footballs to gods.
Yeah.
Or the reason, the percentage of reason that a football is in a
Because
yard
you've
is
actually seen.
absolutely.
You've seen a football. You've seen footballs. Maybe you even seen a football be made.
I have.
Yeah, you've seen sewing. You've seen things stitched together. You've seen
Yes.
other balls or whatever.
Yes.
You know how that can be done. Define your God, and then we can talk about how we compare that to a football. But there's not even a definition of God. Really, no physical. You say he's not physical. He's not even of this universe. So how can you compare that? I mean, if he leaves no trace and he's not part of this universe, then how can he leave a trace and we can say he's a creator?
Well, yeah, I would say, how do you know that then?
Yeah, that's where their epistemology falls way short right there.
Oh, very, very short.
I'm sorry, Braxton, but you're you're being vapid and feckless right now. And I don't mean that as an insult. You're just being that way.
I agree.
Yeah, okay.
Would be well, my wife bought a new football for the girls. But another option would be maybe the neighbor kids threw it and it landed in my yard. Another option would be that aliens beamed it down here. Now, I don't have a slam dunk, like deductive argument for any of that. I don't really know for sure. I don't have what we would call proof, but one of those is obviously more reasonable than the other two.
What did he do? Proof? I mean, that's important. That's very important.
No, evidence isn't proof.
No.
In fact, proof, PROOF is actually mathematics. So there's
Sure.
that's the only thing, proving something or building something up to a confidence where you're very confident that it's the truth about something. That's
Sure.
all the further we can get with anything.
I think it's interesting that we notice that there is we're almost mocking, the word proof. It seems like there's obviously a certain mindset that's been.
Well, I think deep down inside they have to know that they really don't have any solid evidence. I mean, at most theists, I would say, because I talk to 12, 13 theists a day, dude.
Listen, yeah. If they do believe or not believe what, I guess then it becomes an issue of mental health.
Yeah.
To me, if you believe things that you don't have proof of, that's
Well,
almost in any other cases is a problem.
Let's put it this way. Maybe because I can see how you can believe in something and be convinced that something is true and it's not. I can see.
Sure,
I can relate to that. Okay.
Sure.
But what I do see is where you grasp onto it and you keep on trying because you want it so bad, there's just so many things that you say that aren't true that I have to question and go, well, what are you really getting at? And that's how I understand when I hear you talk the way you're talking right now. You don't want to be condescending. I can see that you're trying not to be. You're trying to be politically correct or whatever you want to call it, but yet you have this condescending tone to whatever you say here, and whatever you can say that's demons are possessing us, and there's nothing that you can do to change our minds because we're just done. But that's another condescending. It's a way of what do we call that? It's what's the word for it? Cognitive dissonance. You're cognitive. It's So you get into that danger of cognitive dissonance when you think like that with people, and that's why I actually speak out against religious theistic kind of doctrine, because it's dogmatic. Who's the arbiter of it? Who is the true authority? You say it's some invisible guy up in the air. Well, that means that anybody can make a claim like that and say, I just talked to God and this is what he said. And now it's changed because the doctrine's changed and you can't prove me wrong because it's unfalsifiable. So, now how do we go from there? That's that. Well, are you right? Am I right? Are they right? Now, what do we do? No, we got to work out what we can see in this world and work with it.
Yeah, all we can do is go on the best evidence that we have.
Yeah, that's it.
The only thing we can do.
That's it. And
we
when you
make things up,
when I go, oh well, he talked to God. Well, how do I know that? Now, how do I know that guy's not just out with some sociopathic freaking agenda?
Yeah.
You don't know that. You can't tell me that you know that. All right, we'll go on.
And I could shoot it down, doing inference to the best explanation, and say, well, I don't think that my wife would have bought a new football. It's possible. It's not impossible. But my girls aren't into sports.
Yeah, they wouldn't even know to call it. They'd call it sports ball.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. My daughter's into sports a little bit. She's into
the
gymnastics.
neighbor though, plays football every day.
Yeah, the neighbor play, and on another strike against. She bought a new football. It's got scuff marks all over it. It looks like it's been used a lot.
Okay, so you're collecting evidence to prove that the football is whoever's.
And yeah, the neighbor kids, they play with the football all the time. And I think I saw one like this before in their yard.
Where's the evidence?
The alien thing. I mean, that could also.
That's just that. I'm going to make a prediction right now. You're not going to tell us anything. You're not going to tell us anything about evidence of God, because right now you're just like saying, well, this is a football, but then you're not going to give any evidence to the God part of it to say that's how that works with football.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fit. That does not follow.
He keeps tossing in this alien thing too, which is also unproven. There's no evidence that I know of.
You know, some people believe that too, and I don't believe that. I don't think so. There's too much evidence that says that aliens are too far away. Space is too wide and vast.
Far more.
It's possible we're the only ones in the universe that created that spawned intelligent life.
So it just seems like he's kind of prepping his reaction or his answer with untrue or unlikely things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, apologetics hasn't changed for 2,000 years.
True.
I think he made a claim once that atheists haven't changed their argument in 100 years or 200 years. Well, you know what? It's been 2,000 years for you guys, and they haven't changed. Yeah,
we have not one evidence.
My great grandma if she was here, she would tell you that that's the truth, man. It's been around for a while. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Also technically be true, but it's really ad hoc. I don't know for sure that alien life forms exist. I don't know why they want to beam a football down into my yard. There's a lot.
I don't know for sure.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, this is all possible. That's the point.
That's better than what aliens used to do to people, from what I understand. So
that's right.
Well, because he probably doesn't believe in aliens.
No problem. I assume that, and you know, again,
what would that do for the God of the Gaps argument, though? Would that, you know, the aliens bring? You know, like, first of all, it would be. I suppose it would depend upon what kind of information the aliens would give to us. You know,
yes. Yeah.
If we'd expand and realize, you know, let's say we're just in that stage of development where we still have this God belief in our genes yet, or whatever, and we still haven't evolved far enough away from it to let go of it. You know, it's just it's still in our culture and our society. I mean, that's the last part of the evolution. Maybe that's what it is. That's the way I feel, because there's a few of us.
I feel like if the aliens benefited, or a benefit to the human race, we would adopt them into our Christian beliefs. If they were not, they would be of evil.
It depends on what information they give and how advanced they are, and
absolutely.
I mean, that would all be context. Yeah, but I mean, I personally, if they do exist, we'll never be able to make contact with them. So I don't even think I think it's irrelevant to anything that we do anyway. It's possible.
Definitely, aliens are completely irrelevant to this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, unless God created them too, and then
sure,
sent them here to tell us, hey, dude, get over here.
Hey.
Oh, by the way, those Christians, they didn't know shit. That ain't what's going on.
No, it's aliens.
Actually, my nephew spilt a beaker in the lab over there, and then he created the universe, and that's how it happened.
Yeah. You guys were just puke. You were just beaker puke.
Boy, we're gonna punish him when he the next time he creates another universe, we're just gonna punish him. That's your God, by the way. And here he is, Elroy.
Let's see what they got.
I'd rather have the football than a probe, right? But here's the thing. Each of these, if someone wanted to tackle each of these positions and serve as a defender for each of these positions on why the football ended up there, they would have answers they could give. You just provided a couple of answers, even for the most outlandish explanation. So it's not that these other positions don't have answers.
Don't let me get my bro down t-shirt on, and we can go down this rabbit trail.
Yeah, that's right.
See, I'm sorry for stopping again, but this is all theists have. They have a formal argument. That's it. I mean, if you pointed a mountain, or if you look it up and pointed a mountain and say that there's a mountain there, I got a reason to believe that there's a mountain there, because there's a fucking mountain there. Okay.
Use your senses.
But if you point up at an open field and recite that there's a mountain there, I'm gonna laugh my ass off at you. You guys would laugh your ass off at me if I recited that as an argument. That's all you have and it's worthless. It's a formal argument. I have to see the freaking mountain. If all you have is a formal argument, it does me no good. It does you no good. It doesn't do anybody any good. That's all. That's the way it's always been with any theistic claim or any supernatural claim. That all of a sudden it's gone. Nobody can prove it. You're the only one that saw it. We had a few people that saw it at once, but you can go along with the tribal freaking thing. We haven't evolved that far. But yeah, Yeah, sorry, I had to rant on that.
That was
That's-
fair statement.
Our sister show, the Bible Brodown, which loves to talk about aliens and flat Earth and stuff like that. That's actually not fair. But anyway, you could give to
I was on their show talking about flat
each
Earth,
of
by
these
the way.
positions has answers that they can give, and so the
Their
point
show's fun.
point is that it's not that they don't have answers.
Slight side note, but I think I'd be interested to see any short or long-term studies that involve parental beings of a family unit introducing this information, the religious Christian views and information to the child at what age and what the outcome is, good or bad. What I'm trying to get to is, how do grown men believe things like this with no evidence? How is that done? I don't believe it would be done if we weren't introduced this information at a mushy brain age, where we look to our parents for help and guidance.
Yeah, and you know, we're helpless when we're a kid, when we're an infant. You know, I mean, when we're born, our species, when our species is born, you are completely dependent. You can't even wipe your ass. You know,
I think maybe the only mammal that's born unable to move.
Yeah, you're completely, because you're in a development stage, especially because we have, it's
the brain.
Yeah, our brain has to develop a lot more than other species, and it's probably just the way it works that way. Our brain is complicated.
I think in those first stages, our brain is occupying most of our energy to grow and learn.
A lot of, I bet a lot of it is. I mean, so like you and I aren't biologists or anything like that. No. I'm no scientist on anything like that. But I can tell you one thing: it just isn't the other way around.
No, and again, don't want to take much time. I think that's an important thing to research.
Yeah. But the point being that you're making, though, is that you're going to listen to what your parents say and you're going to trust them.
Absolutely. And this is at like an evolutionary age where, as I understand it, we are laying down foundation pieces of information that stay and are there for good. So I think that's an important thing to remember, is that these guys were probably taught this young, and it's hard for me to listen to it and believe these grown men believe it. It's tough. It's my personal opinion.
I think I'm there with you, because I mean
they look like kind, well-rounded human beings.
I kind of thought that people just deep down inside didn't really believe it. They just kind of spewed it around, like a story or whatever. But
sure.
It's good. But I was never indoctrinated, so I didn't have to go to. I didn't even have to go to church.
No,
a couple times for Easter, maybe. Yeah, we didn't have much church in my family.
Answers. And often we see these videos like, well, an atheist can't answer this, or Christians can't answer this question. No, they can. They can give some kind of an answer. The question is, which of these positions is the most reasonable one to hold? And that's where you do abductive reasoning, inference to the best explanation.
Yeah, they can all, and I'm glad that you explained it. So.
I don't think I like the wording. I don't think you would ever want to infer to an explanation for something of fact. Maybe
like are there leprechauns? Now, how can you infer that? Yeah, I can infer that they don't exist.
It's just I don't know.
I think that's what but you know what? But he's going to say that inferring that God exists is the best explanation. But he has not made the case that is the best explanation.
Yeah, maybe my grammar is incorrect, but I would think an inference would be something attached to, say, like an opinion.
Yeah, well, no, it is. It's that without it's really saying something without actual evidence. But you're going with the best possible reason, or it's not Occam's razor, but it's not Occam's razor, but it's
assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's assuming, but you're going with the best possible. But their claim is that God is the best possible answer.
Right,
and that's just that doesn't. I don't know how that follows. They don't explain how. Here's the problem: you don't explain how that follows. How God is the best explanation. You just say it is. That's all you've ever done. That's all you've ever done.
Vocalizing words does not.
Now you can respond to this, Braxton, if you'd like to, and tell me what your explanation is for that. But why? You have not made the case that God is the best explanation. If you can tell me why he is, then I'll change my mind.
First, you have to give us some reason to believe what you think is true, and I think you may have a tough time.
Yeah, if you haven't proven to me that God exists, then how can you say that he's the best possible explanation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, with the words, saying words does not make them true. If you're going to make extraordinary claims, I need extraordinary.
No, my observation in this world is that none of you have, and I've watched a lot of theists because there's a lot of you around, buddy. They don't. None of you have provided evidence or made the case. You haven't even made a good enough argument that God exists. So,
yeah, I think the difference between your presentation and that of an atheist is that an atheist could just lay simple facts on the table, and you have to work as hard, kind of dancing around things and weaving in and out and trying to make complicated answers. I think facts are simple. And it doesn't take layering.
Yeah. yeah. Oh, yeah. If you can't explain something to somebody simply, then you're probably really trying hard to make it the case.
Sure.
You're trying to make it the case. You're chasing the evidence instead of you're leading the evidence to something, leading something to the evidence is what you're doing. All right, let's go on.
To me, because my explanation would have been boring and tedious.
Yeah.
But it reminds me, you're right, that everyone can have answers, right?
Mhm.
So it's what our pastor has been going through each week. You know, you've got claims, you've got reasons, you've got implications, and you've got actions. And all of those things play into the way how you answer the big questions.
Yeah.
And of course, cumulative case apologetics, one of the ways you start using it in your evangelism or your conversations or whatever is to ask and find out how people answer the big questions in life.
That's right.
A master at this would be Don J. Johnson.
Yeah. That's right.
In his book.
And he's got a book, How to Talk to a Skeptic, that I endorse in the front cover. So what are some of the evidences that you might throw in here? Well, one of the, and you want to pick things that generally we agree is a phenomenon that is at least reported or that we intuitively recognize. So for example, a good example would be something like morality or free will. Now you're thinking, you're wanting to argue about objective morality. No, it's not exactly what we're doing here. We're not putting out these robust arguments.
We've already won that argument elsewhere now that atheists are saying, we have objective morality. We have no explanation that is actually worth a flip, but we believe it. Yeah.
And God has the objective morality is an explanation. I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to explain to me how that works. Here we are, 10 minutes into it now, and we've got 25 minutes on ours.
And we've got the same thing over and over and over. You keep presenting
just because you don't think that we have something or that we don't have an objective morality. I hate that word. There's got to be a separate word from objective to whatever the fuck you guys are talking about.
Yeah, and again,
there's just something different there. There's a different way of viewing what objective is for sure.
You do not get to claim or falsely claim that objective morality is of a God.
Yeah.
You don't have that.
Well,
evidence.
first of all, if it's an objective morality, it has to exist outside of the mind, out of everybody's mind. That would include God's mind. So how does that work then? If objective morality exists outside of his mind, is he the guy that just tells us what it is? So now he's a messenger. He's not all powerful anymore, is he? Okay, so now you got that problem. And then let's say it doesn't exist out of morality. It does come from him. Well, then he's the arbiter of it and he created it. But what is that then? Is it objective then? No, it's not, because it's not outside of his mind. See, I don't understand. You don't understand what the word objective is, the way we understand it, or the other word. Something's missing here.
Yeah,
okay?
well, there's something is crossed, or there's not consistent thought through that.
Well, if objective morality exists, your God is just a messenger of it.
Yeah, very true. But factually,
what if he looks like Mercury in the Greek God?
Well said. Great, sophisticated.
But yeah, I mean, we don't have to make. See, that's the thing. I've noticed this in YouTube comments, and I noticed this they're griping at you because you do this more often than me because I have to work at the city. I'm just kidding. But you'll say something, And it may not even be related to the main topic. It may be something that's kind of a tangent or something. And it's like, you're just asserting something. You're just making a, you're not making a, you're begging the question. You're arguing just because you said something.
Right.
You know, no, I don't have to prove objective morality every time I bring it up that, hey, guess what? Morality is objective. Get over it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
You haven't proven it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not everything is a philosophical argument. It's like, I can't remember, Tuesday tweeted yesterday something like, this isn't what it was, but it was something like, God is beautiful or something. And someone said, this is an unfalsifiable claim. And it's like, dude, we're not always like, you're fixated on the arguments all the time. Sometimes we're just like living.
No, you don't get to make those absolutes and general blanket statements. We don't do that.
No, yeah. I mean, and what was he talking about? He's saying that someone said that that's unfalsifiable or whatever.
Yeah, God is beautiful.
Yeah,
God is beautiful.
Well, right now, you're correct that he is using the big broad brush and stroking all atheists with it or whatever. But Braxton knows. I've seen a few of his videos. He knows better than that. That what he's saying is wrong there. He's doing that. He has to anyway. You'd think he would. But anyway. I don't know. I just, I don't even know what to say to that. I'm at a loss for words.
I am too. Here we go.
All right, let's go on.
In the Christian life and talking about stuff that unfalsifiable claims. But
and you know what? It is unfalsifiable. But yeah, you're right. Not everybody speaks in philosophical terms or has philosophical arguments like a lot of atheists do. But you know what? That's because we do like to find out what's the truth. And to do that, you have to delve into philosophy a little bit. You can't just actually you have to delve into philosophy. You have to really get into deep philosophy, into deeper concepts. And I just can't explain it any other way. You have to understand logic and logical reasoning, and you have to have a little basic understanding of that, which theists fall short of on a few things. So there you have it. Exactly, unfalsifiable. I know you believe, but that doesn't mean that your anecdotal evidence can prove anything beyond a reasonable doubt to me.
Right.
But yeah, but anyway, and with the pastor thing, you're talking about how a pastor says claims, reasons. I've had several atheists say, well, evidence should be on that list. Well, that would go under reasons. Right. And that's really what we're going to talk about here is
evidence would go under reasons. It would, but yeah, okay.
Well,
let's see. I think we got to see where he's going here.
We are talking about evidences. So back
I
to
just wanted Brent to know that I pay attention. That's why I was able to say.
I don't know if he pays attention to the show, so But
of course he does.
Take morality or free will. Morality. Well, we'll find out. He'll tell me if you. But morality and free will. Everyone the reason the debate occurs, and the reason that, like you said, atheists are trying to either hold on to some kind of objective morality or give some explanation for subjective and why it matters, is because we all do intuitively recognize that there's something going on here. There is something real. Same with free will. The atheists have to say, we don't have real libertarian freedom, but we just kind of call it and we hold people responsible and all that. Understand what you're saying?
Like we have.
Right, it really seems like it.
And you have.
If we had libertarian free will, I could go back and change time. I've heard somebody make the argument that you can't just sit there and say, well, you can't take free will into the superhero thing where you can do anything. Well, no, free will would mean that I have complete. And nothing around me should influence me or guide me in any way. I mean, if you tell me get out of my way because I'm coming through, well, I do have the free will to get out of your way. But if I don't get out of your way, I won't have free will because I'll get knocked over. So there you have it.
Well, and if everybody has free will, then it's equal across the board, and everybody's, I guess, reality is as they see fit.
Okay. You have the free will to keep me from moving,
right?
It depends on how strong the force is.
Sure.
I mean, if I came out of a semi truck, you would not have free will against that.
Not.
No, we don't have absolute free will or whatever you want to call it. And that is why I can say that we don't really have free will. We know the universe is expanding. We know that it started from a certain point. It's all expanding out. Can we change anything in the past? No. Can we change where we're going into the future? I don't think so, because we're basically just expanding out of the universe. That's all we are.
They're kind of using an amplifier for no reason. Here's my thought. You calling what we have free will is like saying I'm so hot I'm literally on fire right now.
Yeah,
you're kind of charging the word a little bit. Free will, it just doesn't define in reality as what we are.
Yeah.
Doing, so.
Yeah, I mean, we're floating up. We don't have absolute free will. We can, make little things or whatever, but ultimately we're going to all end up dead, as far as I know.
Yeah, so far everybody has.
Yeah, and there is no evidence of our conscience going on, but I mean, our energy will continue on because of the laws of the universe. So we will, in some form or another, actually exist so there you go. We'll exist for an eternity. You just won't realize it. Yeah. So, but who knows? Free will. Who knows? The answer that I actually have is I don't know, because
that's a great answer.
It's a hard answer. Nobody's ever given a good reason that we have it. Nobody's ever given a good reason that we don't have it.
Right.
It's just one of those things. Maybe we have both. Maybe we don't, and we do have it.
Determinist saying it's better for us to believe the delusion.
That's right. That's right. We
It's not better for us to believe the delusion. It's just we don't have a choice.
I mean,
if you have what are you going to do? What am I going to do? I'm just going to live my life out the way that I have been and enjoy it. Sure. No matter what conclusion I come to, if I have free will or not.
Yeah, I think just literally the words he said are.
Here's the best way to explain it. I live in the present. I don't live in the past, and I don't live in the future. Those are all speculative, or not speculative from the past, but those are all things that I can't reach. I'm always in this very, 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 very moment. So I'm an observer of it. I do not have any free will. I can make predictions and have my hand move or tell my hand to move into the future or whatever, but I really don't have all hands. If let's say I decide to move my hand, I'm doing that. I'm making that command to move my hand, and then all of a sudden, somebody stops me. It's simple things like that. No, we don't have free will, but it is just ignore it, buddy. Nobody's ever going to solve that argument.
Maybe we could change the wording just a little bit. Semi-free.
Yeah,
it implies the word free will implies that it's
I think that is part of it. Semantics. Semantics aren't good enough in this area.
I agree with that.
I mean, people have thought about free will for as long as they've thought about the universe.
Yeah.
It's ever since we dropped our rocks and grabbed our cocks and came out of the fire.
It's just a wonder that nobody knows.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It makes sense though, because you can't really get to a conclusion on it. I don't think you can. It's it's really a circular kind of a thing, isn't it? Maybe sort of.
Well, yeah, I'd say spherical, spheroidal, circular.
Doing at least 180, right?
Yeah, something. It's not wrong.
All right, let's go on here.
Yeah.
The studies, have shown that, if you tell people determinism is true, they like to steal.
And then occasionally we have a video, like I did a video a while back to Cosmic Skeptic and Rationality Rules, where they're having a discussion. They were actually saying, no, we need to teach this in the schools. We need everyone to hear the good news of determinism.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is,
so they can cheat and lie.
Well, I mean, in the thing, Cosmic Skeptic Acts Rationality Rules, he says, you're admitting that, like, if a man does some horrible crime, I don't want to lose my monetization on this one, but on something like this, but that he couldn't help it, right?
See, you're like Chick-fil-A. You just care about the money.
That's right. Well, hey, I've talked about some really straightforward things, but I don't want to lose it on some dumb conversation.
And like any religion that I've been aware of, very focused on the income. A lot of positive cash flow.
Pay your tithing.
Absolutely.
Pay your tither. I think you're like some of them are worse than others or whatever, but I mean, look at the mega churches with the evangelicals.
Absolutely.
And I know you guys don't well, maybe you're trying to become a mega church or whatever, but the money takes over, and that's the greed and all that.
Holstein, I think maybe there was a hurricane. Or
Yeah.
that
He wouldn't let the people come into. And finally, when he got enough people complaining, that's when he did it. But it's, I mean,
do you
really
suspect maybe God told him not to let him in his house?
I'm sure.
A lot of wet, dirty people.
Like all the toddlers and stuff like that were caught out there.
Yeah, probably.
I'm sure they just God said, yeah, let them suffer.
Well, imagine how much carpet is in there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Ruined carpet in God's house. Maybe big problems.
Holstein is morally bankrupt.
Yes, sir. He is.
See, I know what morals are, but you don't get it from nowhere. If if I hurt somebody, they're gonna hurt me back, or somebody wants to get revenge on me. It just pays to go through life not doing bad things to other people, because it comes back to you from other people that say, "Hey, that's that motherfucker, that goddamn fucker ripped me off." Kick his ass.
Morals are like our own binary syntax. It's us moving through life and clicking ones and zeros if we like. Yes, no. What are the consequences? What are the benefits?
I mean, I think we've made a good case for what morality actually is. And yours that it comes from God. That doesn't tell me anything, because you haven't defined your God. You haven't even really proven that anybody's actually heard him speak. It could be just all delusional, and you're sitting there following some delusional freaking crazy man that left a village about 3,000 years ago, and you're still following him.
Yeah, and remember, you're following a God who killed all the babies.
Crazy like a fox, right? That guy's got a cult going until now.
Leatherface.
That Jabus got him going.
Oh boy, he got going.
Turn the other cheek.
Between two people. But if someone commits like the most horrendous crime you can imagine, they really couldn't help it.
Like killing all the babies.
We hold them responsible.
Eating them.
We're not blameworthy. And they're like, that's absolutely right.
Okay, what we're saying is what makes better sense.
So what you do with this abductive reasoning when it comes to worldview stuff is
you want to evaluate worldviews.
You want to say, okay, let's not talk about each piece of my worldview or each piece of your atheistic positions, whatever they are.
Each piece of atheistic position, all it is atheist only defines one thing: that I don't believe God exists. I don't believe it. Doesn't mean that I know he doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that I whatever, blah, blah, blah. And actually atheist, I actually go by the original definition of atheist, which is someone that doesn't feel God is worthy of worship. And I don't believe he exists on top of that. But if he did exist, he wouldn't even be worthy of my worship, because, well, he just isn't. Yeah, well, for one thing, because my grandma and my mom and whatever don't believe, so, well, my mom's still alive, but my grandma and my great-grandma, they'd be tortured in hell right now, according to you. Now explain that to me, why I should go and worship this guy that's torturing my grandmother and my great-grandmother in hell forever, forever.
Yeah, a person in hell who's never also said
even if your view is like a benign hell, a separation of God, like the Jews believe or whatever, that's a threat. That is a freaking threat.
Yeah, that's bribery, basically,
and bullshit. So I actually go by the old definition of atheist. I don't even think he's worthy of my worship. Why should I worship somebody that's done that to them? My loving grandmother.
Listen, I wouldn't worship anything that used the same hole for air and water, and you can't, if they couldn't be mixed. Breathing, the neck throat design, quote unquote.
Yeah,
that guy is an idiot.
No,
or that God, whoever.
He's malicious.
He's a fool.
He's malevolent.
Design. The whole body is
I'd say he's malevolent. According to scripture, he is malevolent, my friend.
I understand that you want to say atheism is not a worldview. You got a video on that too. But let's take your atheistic position over here and my Christian theistic position here. Let's look at these data points and which one makes better sense of these, which is more likely to be two, which is more like the football was thrown in by the neighbor kids, which is the most likely.
Because God equals 0. He is not the most likely thing. In fact, he doesn't even get into the equation, my friend, because nobody's proven he exists.
No, I was just thinking we are on a branched out, multi-forked conversation about something that shouldn't even pass go.
Yeah, I know. You haven't. I don't care what hallucination you had. You haven't proven that he exists. Why don't we all get to see him? You'd think that this all-powerful being would make it that way instead of making it completely confusing and then leaving a message that my grandmother's getting burnt in hell forever. Yeah.
Arguably as it is, arguably the most
Still pissed about
important
my grandma,
fact.
man.
Yeah, I'd be pissed too.
Seriously,
Seriously,
that does piss me off.
yeah, that's I don't know,
What?
psychopathic. kind of
Yeah,
thought.
yeah. Well, I mean, why would I even fucking want to worship God like that?
Yeah. And if he is real, I would not bow to him ever.
I'd be a meso. If anything, I should be a mesotheist.
Yeah, how do we get him out of here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there.
And so with free will and morality, specifically, which is not all about those, you can throw in anything you want. Like often the list or something like the rapid expansion of the early church, the survival of the church in modern times, the fact that the New Testament is still, a valid.
The reason they survive is because everything is unfalsifiable, and people didn't have the tools of logic back then to defend themselves against such indoctrination. Ta-da! Problem solved. That's the most explainable fucking thing there is.
When is the time period you're referring to?
This is when the rapid expansion of the early church would be like
when they were
right when Jesus, 100 years after the claimed death of Christ or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
It was long ago when you didn't want to.
a bunch of ignorant
believe
people.
or not believe.
If you sent me back in time to there, I could be emperor of Rome pretty soon. I'm guessing because of what my knowledge is compared to some of them people.
Oh, yeah.
I could totally freaking rule the world.
With maybe a little more time than we have in life, you could probably rule the world easy.
Not that an asteroid fall down and kill me or something. But wait, I know that because I already know what's going to happen.
True.
I know the volcano is going to erupt that right now. Pompeii. Poof. Yeah. Let's go on.
Debated
Wait a minute, Braxton.
near-death experiences.
Why are you punting on aliens when it's far more likely that aliens provide an explanation for things than even a god? So why would you say that the neighbor threw a football?
No, aliens don't.
What did he say exactly again? Aliens provide proof for
More of an explanation.
More of an explanation.
For something than God.
I don't really.
I think he was talking about. Actually, let's go back a little bit on it and check it out.
More of an explanation for aliens show more of an explanation for a god.
Often the list or something like the rapid expansion of the early church, the survival of the church in modern times, the fact that the New Testament is still, a valid debated.
Wait a minute, Braxton.
Near-death experiences.
Why are you punting on aliens when it's far more likely that aliens provide an explanation for things than even a god? So why would you say that the neighbor threw
Yeah,
a football
things.
I saw that. He was really uncertain.
That's
Yeah.
what we're saying. That's more likely than an alien. The atheist would say it's more likely
How?
even that aliens raised Jesus from the dead than a god exists.
Yeah, so go to a supernatural claim where it's
If you
more
make that
specific,
claim, you need to
supernatural
explain.
versus paranormal,
Yeah.
like alien
Yeah.
stuff.
First, show me an alien first, and
Yeah.
Too. You're thinking
That's true.
ghosts.
and don't
Yeah.
show me freaking
Ghost.
Sanchez
Now,
from
and
freaking
again,
New
X-Files.
Mexico.
It's an
'cause I know-
X-Files thing. They're all X-Files
There you
things.
go.
Right.
It's like
Okay.
they
So
just glaze
put
over
the
for a
aliens
second
versus
and
the
Yeah.
say
resurrection.
these untrue
They'd
things
say, well, at
as
least the
facts.
aliens are
Yep.
naturalistic.
I
And
think
even
he
if
was
the
being-
kids throwing
I think he was
football in
being,
my yard, you could say, well,
what do
yeah,
they call it,
that was probably your
hypothetical or
kids
whatever
next
they're-
door throwing the
Sure.
football. But you got to understand that there are some people out there who would say the whole reason there's life on Earth is this panspermia, where aliens seeded Earth. So seeded life on Earth.
That's not what panspermia says. Maybe it's some sort of a thing, but no, it's just saying that the building blocks of life come from certain parts of the universe where stars and all the stars exploding in the early universe, blah blah blah, bang bang bang, boom boom boom, and then it takes a certain amount of mixture to create the chemicals or whatever that are just right for life, like amino acids and all that. It has to have a certain amount of heat and all that coming off of the exploding stars, and eventually that just so happens that we ended up in that sweet zone, and it has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with it being a god. Like I said, it could have been Elroy, the freaking alien that freaking spilt his beaker, if you want to say aliens. So there you have it.
It could be nothing at all. It could just be the way things came together in that moment of time. Or
Yeah,
in that time.
I think
circumstance.
what did Dillahunty say? Pixie universe farting pixies. Could be. It could be.
So these, Stardust kids can throw the football into your yard, right? But here's the thing. Stardust kids, there's a band name for you. But the bottom line is, yeah, you want to weigh those out. What's the more likely explanation? And a lot of things typically go into that. But
that's why it's a cumulative case, by the way.
Yeah, so the way
you weigh all of the different...
They sure seem to think they have the best explanation.
I can't imagine that a God would ever be the most likely explanation.
I don't know. He doesn't make a case for it. All he does is say it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He just keeps saying these
Unless
words.
I'm missing something. Has he made a case?
Not at all. He's presented zero.
All he does is say, but God is the best explanation. That's all you've done. Please respond to this and tell me how you made the case for God being the best explanation.
Well, yeah,
you have to explain that to me, how that is.
As you make the claim of God, you have to explain.
Yeah, I just don't get it. He thinks he's explained it, I guess.
All the different factors that you could throw into these different buckets.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I'm not expecting him to.
The point is, in cumulative cases, that Christianity still comes out on top. And once you get certain things, for like the classical apologist perspective, is once you get God, resurrection, if God created the entire cosmos, raising a dead man up.
That's right.
No big deal.
Yeah. So and these are all things that would go in, because the cumulative case. So if you think about the arguments you typically hear from apologists as these big, like the kalam or contingency arguments or whatever, as these big slam dunk lynching is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, those are like standalones. But this is more like the way it's typically thought of as like a mosaic, where each individual tile in a mosaic doesn't give you the whole picture, but if you put them all together, you get a beautiful picture of like Jesus or something, or a tapestry where each thread is a piece of it or something like that. And some other things that might go in there is, what about near-death experience reports? What about, so we've thought free will, morality, near-death stuff. What else could go in there?
You could put
go in the beginning of the universe, design.
The appearance of design, at least. I mean, everyone acknowledges the appearance of design.
Right.
And first of all, everyone does not acknowledge the appearance of design.
No.
And what does design appear like?
Yeah. What is design? First of all, you're implying that the appearance of design. No, I don't even infer that at all.
No, again, with the words.
Yeah.
Just stitching words together does not make fact.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, good point.
Yes.
Well, not everybody, but they should. And in a lot of
You can answer your back.
Good job.
Sane ones.
Braxton, you're all right, man.
They say their argument is, even though it appears that way, it's not that way.
Right.
The ones who just say, well, it doesn't even appear that way.
Yeah.
Or it's poor.
The fact that you think something can appear some way means it seems like it's designed. It's like Steve Gregg says, if someone won't at least admit that it seems designed, then I don't want to talk to them, because I just don't think they're being honest.
Right.
But first of all, how can you say that it appears to be designed? I mean, first of all, haven't you seen the way a giraffe's, whatever the hell it is, goes way up around there and all the way down there his neck, and that's how evolution took on there. That was not designed. That's a poor design. Look at the male testicles. Why are they on the outside of us? Because they have to cool down. Why didn't you design it so that our testicles would be on the inside so they'd be more protected? I mean, a lot of prostate cancers and all that happened because of that. That's just a poor design. Nobody would design that. Not anybody with especially an omnipotent, all-knowing, all-powerful being that can do anything he wants.
I mean,
yeah.
Why is my brain riddled with problems?
Yeah. Why do some people just can't? Why do I have Liam Neeson disease, where you're born and you want to eat your skin, you want to chew yourself? Why would you design something like that? Why would you want that?
I mean, that's directly.
They live about 20 years of torturing themselves and trying to kill themselves. Yeah. That's just that's disgusting.
Yeah,
that's disgusting.
Just spewing, rhetoric.
Yeah, not me saying that you're not being honest, but whatever.
No, me and Steve Gregg will.
I know, but I've been a little too rough lately. So, but anyway.
Or cognitive dissonance, or just intentional self-deceit.
Right.
So far, this video is called the Cumulative Case Against Atheism. You've failed miserably so far, gentlemen. You've just made a case against theism.
the and
Yeah,
atheism
which,
is the only
frankly,
two-
on the last episode, or one of the most recent episodes, Francis Collins says that he was kind of self-deceiving. He was,
Yeah,
it was
take
like,
out against.
he was like,
Yeah,
maybe it was a willful ignorance about these things. So,
Billions of years made this.
right. Yeah.
Somebody designed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I could probably show you how to make one of them.
That's right.
Logo. Braxton Hunter certainly couldn't design a logo that fancy.
That's right.
No, I can show you how it's done.
That's right.
Happened that way.
Mine's
I can
just
show you a
a yellow
designer.
circle.
Let's
But,
see your designer of
All
the
right,
universe.
so where are we at with this? So you put them all together, and so like with design, like this is so flexible because for the Christians in the audience, one of the great things is you could come out of a college lecture on the migratory patterns of butterflies. You don't have to put together some teleological design argument. You can just say, "Isn't that interesting? What best explains the fact that these butterflies seem to know generationally where to go and what to do and all that kind of thing?"
Well, and again, and we would take the time and money to research that because for sure we know that those things previously mentioned are real.
Evolution is the most used, it's the most useful science that we have. We can explain so much about ourselves, about our biology. It's the root of all other sciences, really. I mean, just about every science you can think of, evolution is the root of that. Everything we've learned is from that. And then just to dismiss something like that, it just shows your ignorance of science, actually.
I mean, you could almost argue that evolution itself taking place is the essence of being.
Mm-hmm.
We're continually
we're evolving right now.
Bettering.
I'm not the same person I was 10 minutes ago.
Absolutely.
We're always I'm sorry, guys. You're just that's a pretty ignorant statement you just made there.
In terms of turtles, or what was that?
Yeah, we had a student do a dissertation related to if we took the flood story to be literal, how would you get the tortoises or whatever to like North America by the time we know they were here and all that whole thing. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah,
But,
you hate turtles, right?
yeah, they're disgusting creatures.
Right.
Yeah, just disgusting. But what am I? In fact, the guy said, "I'm going to buy you a tortoise," and I said, "You do? I'm going to let it loose in downtown Evansville. We'll see how far it gets. We'll test your theory."
It'll probably live longer than in your house.
Yeah.
Never feed it.
Okay, so
those are pre-built ridiculous examples of string together words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, if you let a tortoise loose downtown wherever it was, but that's not. It has nothing to do with evolution.
No, it doesn't. I'm trying to figure out what he's trying to get, what his point was to get at there.
I think that I don't know. He's excuse me, Braxton, and whatever the other guy's name is, but I feel like I'm getting more stupid. Watch this.
Yeah, I mean, they're not the worst apologists.
Absolutely not.
But they're pushing that threshold,
They're
man.
rife with the falsities, though, and the little innuendos that infer truth.
Yeah, they're all. I mean, they dress it up in a different article of clothing, and they say, you guys don't realize that your arguments have been debunked for thousands of years.
Yeah,
keep on indoctrinating the next generation. And it's embedded in our. I have to give you that. It's embedded in our society and our culture.
We always say we need to break the cycle on all things that are detrimental to us moving on.
Yeah, and my point is, like I said earlier, in here that who speaks to God? Who's the one? See, he does. I don't hear God's voice or hear his commands. So how am I supposed to take that guy's word for it that he spoke to God? And why can't I hear that God's voice? It's not fair for one thing. And sure, God doesn't have to be fair. Well, you'd think he would be.
If it's so important that we know him.
Yeah, if it's such an important message,
so important.
If it's such an important message, why does he give it to incompetent people that make me think that it's not true?
Why isn't he the one knocking on your doors, Saturday morning, wanting to speak of himself?
Exactly. I mean, because he's not of this universe.
Well, okay, yeah, right, true. Okay.
He can only speak to one person. He can only speak to the schizophrenic guy that lives in the village. And lives by himself out on the edge of the village.
Actually look at him with your human eyes,
the hermit,
turn into ping pong.
The hermit schizophrenic that lives in a cave outside the village.
That guy. That's one.
That's one. He's the one that brings the message into town. Yeah. Okay. because I
That's
mean,
convenient.
who are you going to trust, right?
Well, yeah.
But so you got these cumulative case data points. And so what we've been doing all season is basically been adding type.
It's like the reason he's schizophrenic is because God stuck the
Yeah.
wires in it the wrong way.
No, so he just said they've been gathering data points, and I'd like to know exactly how you quantify these points as anything of value.
Okay, let's what are you talking about?
And so each of these evidences that we've been talking about, whether it's the rapid expansion of the early church, miracles, individual minor things like the design patterns of butterflies, or whatever you want to talk about, near-death experiences, the resurrection, all of those things are individual tiles. And so what we want to do then is say, okay, my worldview. Now, this isn't a thing where this isn't a thing like where you would take Christianity versus everything else all at once. What you do is you take two worldviews and do worldview analysis. You say, okay, you're atheism, I'm Christianity. And we mentioned this a little bit before, but like, we're going to say which of these two worldviews handles all of these data points better. And I'll show you a practical way of doing that in just a few moments. But that's kind of what we're doing. So, so to give you an example of how this might look, when I'm doing
Challenge accepted.
evangelism with someone face to face, interpersonally. Now, if I'm on a debate stage, I'm going to use more of a classical approach. I'm going to use the big theistic arguments, design arguments, and all that. But if I'm doing interpersonal evangelism with someone, what I might say is, okay, share with me what you understand, how you answer the major questions of life. And you alluded to this just a moment ago, like, how did we get here? Like humanity, how do we get here? What's the meaning of life if there is one? And what happens when we die? And how someone answers those questions is going to give you a good indication of what they believe, what their worldview is. Because as we know now, if someone says I'm an atheist, that could mean one of two or three things, right?
Well, it could mean any number of things these days.
Yeah, it could mean I have a Buddhist type spirituality, but no personal God.
I'm awakened, don't believe in God.
Actually, what I'm going to do right now is take a little bit of a 5-minute break here. So we'll be back in a little bit, everybody. Okay, we're back. Okay, here we are. Oops, shit. All right. Now we're starting again. And where were we?
I'll be right with you. Go ahead.
Out of God, but I do believe that Mother Earth and spirituality and whatever else. Some atheists do believe in God, by the way. Here we go with the Gallup information.
Yeah.
And they believe in heaven and all sorts of things.
So it could be, or even just with the more, what we're more used to doing.
Yeah, and I do want to say this. I do want to say about the atheists who believe in God. Once you redefine atheist to be lack theism, other people can define atheism as believing in God. So
That's right.
It's fair is fair.
It's a slippery slope there, isn't there?
That's right.
But even with the lack theism thing, like even just with that, we have, okay, some people mean more the academic types mean by atheism, the position that God does not exist. Whereas most of the internet atheist apologist crowd, the atheist apologists, they'll say, well, it's I just lack a belief. I don't believe in God, but I'm not saying there's not a God, but I'm saying maybe.
Well, that's the thing. Well, some of them were like that. Other
Would
ones
you
think
say that
that
atheists
that's
were
their way of
juxtaposing their
being
position
claim
around to
until
fit their
they
needs?
Juxtaposing.
I think that's
Juxtaposing.
But the claim there's not evidence.
Is that like
That's actually
the
mechanism.
statement that hell's
Matt
not
Dillon.
real, but then
But
walking
those are
back
claims.
later
The problem with those claims is you want to talk
that
about
the Old Testament is not the same as
those are purely autobiographical.
these are
They're
all
not actually.
They're not speaking to the nature of reality.
Okay, now you're saying juxtaposing,
juxtaposing, correct?
which means you put. He's saying that juxtaposing means put side by side, compare them, put them side by side, and then compare them to the same and put them under the same test.
Right.
That's sort of juxtaposing, I guess, is where I think that's where he's trying to use it right there.
Yes.
Okay, and then what were you getting at? Because I had to.
Boy, when was that? 3 seconds ago? Yeah, it's gone. I forget. I don't recall.
There. Didn't have you in the camera shot. Oh, well.
Just that, they're trying to use words again and maybe not completely true definitions of things to validate a convenient point. It takes a lot of searching to find things that are able to be presented from their behalf to us that are even worth a thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I gotta find the shortcut keys on here so I can turn the camera off and on. Just in case I gotta talk.
Yeah, they're just talking about you.
Right. So,
And they're happy to admit, a lot of them are happy to admit that. But the point is, when we ask the question, how do you think we got here? What's the meaning of life for Israel? What happens when we die? I now know what your position basically is. If you say that I was once a spirit baby that God put, okay, well, you're probably a Mormon.
yeah.
Okay. If you say, about what happens when we die, I am going to be absorbed back in.
What happens when you die if you're a Mormon? You get buried in your magic underwear, man.
Don't you go to Kolob and you roll over your planet?
The earth and become part of the life force. Okay, you're some kind of new age or Eastern type thing. If you say I'm going to experience the next phase of samsara, okay, you might be a Hindu or a Buddhist or something. So you can pick and you can figure out where a person stands by how they answer these questions, and just forget the labels altogether, because it's popular for everyone to say, well, you can't put labels on me. I hate labels. Listen, there's all kind of labels on me, and whoever you are, there's all kind of labels on you. Right. But the fact is, if you want to go with that, fine. Then just tell me how you answer these questions. The great thing about it for a Christian is a lot of skeptics and people of other world religions have been waiting for some Christian to shut up and let them talk. And you're going to do that. You're going to let them talk. And tell me how.
No, I don't have to do that. I can do it right here now.
Yeah.
I can shut you out right there and talk all over you, and I can talk all night now. Yeah.
You answer these questions, and don't attack. Don't jump in and try to wrestle with them on this. Just let them answer.
You're it.
Yeah. What can I do? I could easily decimate it.
Can I even Indian leg wrestle with him?
No. I don't know if he'd do that.
And then the next phase is you ask them, okay, that's great. That's very interesting. And if you don't think it's interesting, guess what? It is interesting. So I don't find it interesting. Well, it's interesting to some guy in Indiana named Braxton Hunter. So even if you don't think it's interesting, it's interesting. Then the next thing you can say is, hey, tell me what you understand the Christian message in about a paragraph. You don't have to go on and on. But what do you understand the Christian message to be? Well, sometimes they'll get it right, but usually they'll get it wrong. And so you just explain to them the correct Christian message. And if the conversation continues from there, here's where this Keynote of Case stuff comes in. But you don't go first. You let them go first, and you invite them to provide you a cumulative case. And here's the thing. Most skeptics are not used to thinking this way. Now, I'm not saying that as a nice little trick for Christians to throw atheists off their game. I'm saying this to you skeptics out there, you should think this way too, which is, if I'm a Christian,
don't tell me how to think.
I'm asking you, okay, well, what facts about the nature of reality that we both agree are true? Because like with free will and morality, we both agree that it seems that way, right? And so the Christian works from there. I'm asking you, what pieces of data about the way the world is that you and I both agree about make more sense on your worldview than they do on our worldview?
Irrelevant, for one thing, because most of your claims, you just can't really even measure anything with it. I can't measure it. I can't even conceptualize what your God is, what he's made of, where he's at, how he thinks, or anything. And I don't know how you can, because
no, and you don't get to make that claim and just cruise right over it and then into some bullet point that has to do with this.
Also the data points. There is no data point of what God is. So
yeah,
right there, that you can't even use that in the equation of your data to make any inference at all.
I want you to think about that for a few minutes, because that's and unfortunately, because if we were in a classroom or something together, I'd just ask you to tell me. But because we're in a podcast video, I have to kind of give it away.
Pause for a few moments.
No, let's pause. Why don't you pause the video for a second and think this through? What facts that you and I agree about?
We've already done that, and I don't think we need to even go there, because
I know I beat the dead horse again.
Yeah, what facts are we going to weigh out?
As a matter of fact, I'll bet we could.
And you notice they said that yours aren't any better than ours to explain anything. Well, so what? So we're at a stalemate, right? So why should I believe you?
Still not even, because he's the one making the claim.
That's true. That's true.
I would be willing to bet that we could take any bit of video that we have already recorded tonight and play it against the rest of the unseen half of this video, and we would still be.
Yeah, well, that's why the burden of proof is kind of what you're saying there. The burden of proof. Yeah. You guys have the burden of proof, and that's why. And that's what makes you pissed off at lack theists. And I'm not a lack theist. I'm convinced that he's not a thing. I think he's in your mind and all that, whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah. But I forgot. I was getting to a point here, and I just lost track of my thought. Let's just go on. Let's go on.
Again, these guys. We got
make more sense on your worldview, and Christianity has a hard time accounting for those facts. When you get done thinking and come back, I'm going to now tell you what most people will say they are. One of those things is that you'll often hear is, well, science works. And if science works, then that makes more sense on naturalism than it does on Christianity. Is that true, Dr. Pritchett?
No, it actually makes a lot more sense for comprehensibility to actually be a thing on a Christian worldview than on a naturalistic worldview.
Okay, Mr. Doctor.
He's not a doctor.
He probably is. There's so many in theology you can have a PhD. But
yeah.
Well, what have you explained then? You said, well, it explains it better. That's all he did, is just say that it does. I haven't heard you explain why. Please explain why.
Yeah, the Christians would expect that we live in a rational cosmos.
Yeah, and at the very least, supper on people. But yeah, you're borrowing from my capital, you know, to make science go. Because you're presupposing reason and logic and comprehensibility and intelligibility and all of those things.
We're just trying to assign values to things.
When you get into philosophy like that, when he's saying we presupp logic, which is kind of true in a way, because when you're a toddler, you don't know anything, you don't understand logic, and we have to learn it. So you have to presuppose it. But no, we have a lot of confidence in how logic works. We know what is a proper way with using critical thinking, and from our experiences, we can find out what works and what doesn't, and what is true and what is more true than another thing. And that is how logic works.
Again, just using the best evidence in hand.
Yeah.
To form a conclusion.
Yes. And where's your evidence? That I'm sorry, but you're just, all you have is arguments. All you have is a formal argument, period.
Thanks.
They're
Which,
useless.
I mean, stardust in a blender doesn't
Baseless
produce that
argument.
something.
Yeah.
And at the very least, what you would get is that's not a point for your team or a point for my team. That's just a point.
No, what I just said, the point
no,
for my
no.
team.
If you'll just
Yeah, and if you grew some hair, nobody noticed you have a point.
Yeah. And there's a problem there too, that somebody's trying to win a battle of facts.
Yeah.
There is no winning. It's just
No.
there's the truth and there's not.
No, here's what the way it sounded like they were talking right there is that an argument is like you're trying to win. No, an argument is we both bring our ideas together and we try to come to a conclusion that was the most true. And yeah, so let's throw logic out then. What he just said. He just said, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to them speak, they define their own answer,
and they conflate for certain things
Absolutely.
to try and make their logic,
Yeah.
make their thing seem like it's the logic. This is the logic.
Oftentimes they'll say, for instance, if someone said, the universe is so big you can't imagine it. Meaning, then it's not even there.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain, I guess.
Yeah, I think I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, it's just he's leading his answer with the question that he's formed himself.
He's trying to.
He's kind of got both balls of clay, and he gets to mold it both in favor of each other, which helps him, I guess. But still, in the end, there's nothing.
You have an undefined
No subject.
metaphysical being that nobody's got any proof, evidence for. No evidence, not even proof. Nobody's got evidence for it.
And is not of this universe? Is that what it was?
Yeah, the universe.
I mean, where do we? I don't know. I guess that seems to me almost self-evident or self-defining.
That we'll never find everything out about the universe, or we'll never get to witness it, observe everything in the universe.
What is relevant? I mean, what is relevant to reality? Is it everything in the universe? Because I think the universe is kind of it seems like all,
all the universe.
Yeah.
So what's reality? Is it?
I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I think we need to. I like to be able to assign value to information. So
yes, something that I can use and make
against other things.
I mean, what we use science for is to make models that predict things in the future. We want to make a prediction in the future, so it makes our lives more comfortable and easier to go through life. Such as our cell phones and such. And there's nothing in the Bible that makes any good predictions, and every one of them predictions are debunked. In fact, the Bible says some really strange things that we shouldn't even consider as a good thing to do. In fact, we find them abhorrible. Some of the things that the Bible tells you to do. Anyway, yeah. So there you have it.
Yep.
I don't know what else to say about that.
Hold your horses.
I was going to say
that's at the very least what you could get away with. But what Pritchett and I would say is it's actually a point for our team. Because it's just like we were talking about on recent videos with the unreasonable applicability of mathematics. It's just we live in a universe that is understandable. Yeah. And why should that be? And you're, for one thing, this is a completely different point, although it could go into a cumulative case, is your consciousness, right? Consciousness is weird. Why do we have this consciousness? What makes better sense of that? But we're not there yet. We're letting the atheists give us something. So usually what you get is because science. And then another thing that you'll get besides.
No, it's not. He just brushes it away. He's like, oh, it's just science.
Well, yeah.
No, and that's not what. First of all, not all atheists are scientists. I'm not a scientist, but you're making an argument that a scientist would be making. And okay, he's talking about consciousness. Why is it there? we have come across more and more explanations of, and I'm talking from the scientific and from the neurologist type point of view. We are starting to understand the brain and all of that a lot more, and we're starting to understand. We will be able to project our thoughts into a computer screen one day, or be able to project our thoughts between each other, because we will be able to understand how the brain sends and receives information. That will if we don't destroy ourselves, we will get that far in technology. That is just the way technology is expanding exponentially. And yes, we can explain it. So as we learn more, we may drop the God belief, but you're gonna have to cram God into little tinier gaps. And there's the gaps argument again. So yeah, I think I said enough on that.
Because science, which isn't a point for you, and it certainly isn't a point for you alone, is you'll get something like the problem of evil. Now that's a much more serious and sober-minded consideration. Is
I mean, like burning my grandma in hell forever because she doesn't believe, and now I'm supposed to believe in him too.
How about
I'm gonna burn?
How about the classic unbaptized baby or child?
Yeah, I'm sure they're apologists. They got an answer.
Yeah.
We both agree that great suffering happens in this world. That makes more sense on atheism than it does on Christianity, some might say. Now, we obviously don't think so, but if we, I mean, that'd be a place where we could have a conversation, and then you would go into a back and forth there with them and talk with them about that. And Christians, of course, have incredible answers to that. That isn't any kind of a serious problem for Christianity, but it is a problem.
Yeah.
The problem of evil is a problem, and I understand.
More of an emotional problem than an intellectual problem, but those are two different problems.
That's right.
So you got to keep that. You know, we have the philosophical puzzle problem of evil, and then you have the emotional impact of the problem of dealing with evil. Too often, this colors this one.
Yes.
The emotional colors the philosophical.
And
So what's evil? I mean,
well, right.
There's a problem with evil that we don't even know what actually it is, because I mean, eating shellfish is evil.
Sure.
Eating two clothing of two different fabrics is evil. Why don't we really abide by that? So
a number is evil.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. You see, well, who's gonna be the arbiter of these things? Huh?
Yeah. And again, your first question: what is evil?
Yeah, they're really. It's more of a thing that's in the religious mindset or whatever. I think.
Yeah.
Because evil is what you do to hurt God. Well, what's going to hurt God? First of all, he's not very omnipotent if you can hurt him.
Well, yeah, he's God.
Yeah, it's not all powerful one. So, or that goes that even if he's disgusted, he's not all powerful because that's emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's definitely a flaw.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it would be a flaw in a perfect being from my perspective.
Anyway. If your core intent was to reproduce and sustain, then yeah, I think feelings are very, very.
Yeah, they're important for that. And boy, that sure works with evolution, doesn't it? Wow, imagine that.
And since we are at Trinity College of the Bible and Theological Seminary, trinitysim.edu, I might tell you that we have courses on that in the counseling programs and in the apologetics department.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because the problem, we could think about it this way. The problem, it's the same topic, but.
Okay, we're at 28 minutes and 34 seconds on here. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to do this in two parts where we'll do the other half. We're halfway through it now about, and it got a lot longer than I thought it would be.
Oh yeah, these guys.
But
we could probably do this next time, Braxton. You guys take 10 minutes. We'll take 3.
Yeah. Keep on thinking about all those things. I'm sure you will. Well, anyway, this is Johnny DriveBYE and that's B. We'll be back sometime.
Hey.
We could call that
The broadcast.